All right, we should be live now, so hopefully they should be hearing us. So,
hey everyone, Ryan Young, Dave Kama Jiu-Jitsu. Hope all is well. Dave is in town here in Dallas, Fort Worth.
yeah.
One of the many times that he comes through, we're always fortunate to have him here. And one of the reasons why the videos are always with me in it and not him is because Rusty, who's behind the camera, is here. And because Professor Dave seems to have things that he would rather do than talk to you guys.
We've already got 7 people watching.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey.
Can you guys hear us any good? You probably can't hear me any good.
Can you hear us? Testing, testing.
Yeah.
Are we good?
All right, Raphael Pont says yes.
Awesome. Morning, Raphael. Where are you from?
Well, the person named Konstantis Bamdis is from Greece. Slow Cheetah says all good boys. All right. Do we sound better than the previous live streams? Because we've got some feedback from those, and they're like, we can't hear you.
Yeah, the last one I did just from my phone, whereas we got a little better setup this time.
Yeah, better microphone.
Slightly distorted though. Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna adjust the gain on the mic a little bit.
Yeah, forgive me if it sounds like things are clicking. So, sounds a bit crunchy. I can hear. All right. Well, I'm gonna do this. Forgive me, guys. Hold on.
Okay, let's try that. How's that sound?
Is that any better, guys, or does it even sound like anything now?
Low.
No. Sounds good on my phone speakers.
Okay.
Okay, well, phones tend to be the softer ones, so we want to make sure we sound good to everybody accessing on the phone.
Hey from Argentina.
Hey.
Basilar. Clear but lower. Okay. All right. Well then, I'm just gonna move it a little bit closer then.
All right.
Move it.
All right, so
What's the question of the day?
we've got the professor here, so let's have him answer some questions for us. So I'll read this first one. This one came from NW Oyster. And the question is, 95% of guys stop in their late 30s doing jiu-jitsu. In judo, people keep training into their 40s, 50s, and 60s. What is the reason for this, do you think? Is judo more effective as you get older, or is jiu-jitsu too hard to do when you get older? So we'll have Professor start off with this one, and then we'll bring in one of Dave's instructors come in and answer this as well.
We've got a backup team over here.
Yeah.
The minute we started streaming, they ran off.
Okay.
Well, I would have thought it would have been different, because in my experience, like for judo throws, I mean, you get picked up and you get thrown on the ground all the time. It's a little bit harder on the body. Jiu-jitsu, I would think it'd be, as you get better, you fight a little easier and you get more skilled, and it's less hard on your body. So I would think it would be the other way around. I'm not sure where that's coming from, but we've got a judo black belt here. He can kind of talk to it, and he kind of has the same opinion that getting thrown around when you get older is just kind of harder on your body. Hey, Greg.
Hello. So I got my judo belt in Japan when I was 17, 18, and I didn't practice for a while. Judo's actually, it's kind of hard on your body too. I think any martial arts is the same. You know what I mean? When I heard the question, I thought it's purely because Jiu-Jitsu has a shorter history than judo. So like, yeah, people still practicing, but they might be younger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't see any like special reason for that. We have students in 40s, 50s, 60s that they're enjoying every week, at least 3 times a week. So I think it still depends on the individual. And
Yeah, I think it really is. It depends on the gym that you're at and how you roll and your partners that you roll with and stuff like that. I think that would even equate to like judo as well, right? So it depends on what kind of partners you have. But judo, it's kind of hard to not pick somebody up and slam them on the ground without getting some kind of, your body gets charged a lot. In Jiu-Jitsu, you get older, you get weaker, you don't train like you did when you're 20 years old. Your body just can't take it. So you just enjoy the Jiu-Jitsu life. You roll, you train, you try to improve, you try to make your techniques better. So I think it really depends on the gym you're at and your training partners if you decide to quit or not. If you're in a hardcore gym where everybody doesn't care who they're training with, old, young, weak, strong, and they train all the same way and they just pounding everybody, that kind of gym would be, you would be absolutely right. I mean, after your 30s or 40s, I mean, you probably wouldn't want to do that anymore because your body can't take it. But I don't think that's a really productive way of training all the time. I mean, you need to you learn the techniques really well and then practice them, not exactly just pound your body out. So I don't know if you guys agree, but.
Yeah, I totally agree. Depends on the school, depends on the instructor, depends on how you train, depends on how your training partner treats you. So it doesn't matter judo or jiu-jitsu. If you have a good school, good instructor, nice instruction, you get less injury and you enjoy training more often, even though you're 30s or 40s.
Yeah, I hope to train when I'm up in my 100 years old. So I like it so much. So.
How old was Helio when he finally died? Because he trained until he was dead, wasn't he?
I think he died at what, 94?
Yeah, but I don't know how much he was training when he got older. But it's normal. Everybody, your body starts breaking down. You start getting older, so you there's less and less you can do. It's kind of like I don't know if it's a good analogy, but strong young guy versus a little kid. I mean, they can't train the same. I mean, it's just impossible. Your body just can't take it. So.
I know Grandmaster Elliot was training well into his 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people aren't even walking in their 80s, let alone being able to train.
I've seen a lot of martial arts people who they're like in their 70s and look like they're at least 50 or 40.
Yeah.
Just because they just kept up with it.
Yeah. And I know, Professor, you're in your 31st year training, maybe 32nd year now.
Something like that.
I think you started in like 86, right? I started in 89, so I'm at soon will be 29 years. And believe it or not, the more that I've started training, now that I'm on the mat 6 days a week, I actually feel better than when I was on the mat 2 days a week or 3 days a week.
Right.
My body would just hurt. I'd feel like I get beaten up, run over by a truck, and that was 10 years ago.
Yeah, and I did train that way when I was like a blue belt. We trained really, really hard, and I was. Yeah. I mean, I kind of told you a story. You go home, you go to sleep. I wake up in the morning, I hurt so bad, I can't even sit up. I have to roll out of bed, fall on the floor, crawl on the floor, go to the shower, sit in the shower in the hot shower for a while until you feel better, and then do that over every single day. But that's just like me being a young kid, just trying to train really hard and not caring about my body and just beating it up and stuff like that. So that's just a different kind of training and stuff like that. So I guess in some kind of ways it depends on what your expectation of training is. It depends on your expectation of what you think training is, right?
So it's up to you too.
Yeah.
How you train.
Some people just enjoy training for the fun of it, for learning the techniques and stuff like that. You can train well into, I mean, if people live to 200, you can train up to 200. I mean, you're just learning techniques and stuff like that. I mean, and depends on what level of training. Are you training MMA or not MMA, but are you training like hardcore street fighting and getting a 200-pound guy on a 100-year-old man? I don't think you're going to train that way, but I think it depends on your expectations. So.
Now, the guys here, we've got several questions from the chat. So we are going to answer questions, guys, when we can. We probably won't be able to kind of fire them off as quickly because obviously we've got more guys here who can answer. But let's see. The first one, obviously, for Constantis, I guess you kind of already answered your question. Any advice for a 40-year-old who's starting jiu-jitsu?
Just come train. I mean, 40-year-old training, like I said before, I think anybody can come train. It just depends on your training partners. Get some good training partners and learn the techniques, and just improve your fighting ability from where you are and your physical abilities. Jiu-jitsu is I think one of the best martial arts to improve your fighting ability. So you can't go wrong. 40 years old, even if you start 50 years old, I think it's going to just improve you. It depends on your expectations of improve, right? Are you going to win every single fight on the street at 40 or 50 or 60 or 70 years old? Possibly not, but you're definitely going to be better than when you started. So.
All right, so going down the list here. Forgive us if this takes a while, and I might skip around just for the sake of convenience. Yeah, let's see. I'm trying to get. All right, opinions on gi color. There's a Mike T. He wants to get a gray gi at Kama Jiu-Jitsu. So, what do you guys think about gi colors? Do you think they're special?
Well, I mean, today he's wearing black. He just got back from Honolulu, and he was wearing army green in his training there. And if you pan over to our guys there, we got David, and he's the one that wears all the different color gis. And today he's wearing white. So
Yeah, we've had a myriad of different colors earlier. So
Yeah, I prefer white, but you know I wear all different colored gis. I don't care.
if you guys have seen Ryan in his videos, he'll wear blue, green, any color. You almost kind of just grab what's available.
I've got a stack of them. Whatever's on the top, that's what I grab.
All right. This is a question that we probably get a lot from people. Are you expecting to expand into blank location? Because we've got a gentleman here. Let's see. It's JR 3631. He's hoping that we'd set up something in Florida, in the Orlando area, or anything like that. Maybe we should kind of answer that question there.
That's for you.
Yeah, no plans right now, but we're always looking to expand. So now we have a new location to look at.
Yeah. So if you guys, want something out there, you can always affiliate. So that does mean we kind of help you out. If you know if there's a school out there that needs somebody who's experienced and smart,
Yeah.
then talk to Ryan. 'Cause Dave
Give us
is
a call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave's the traveler, so he's the one that would probably be sent out to you.
It's been in 3 months, man. You've gone from one end of America to the farthest end, Pennsylvania to.
A little bit busy, yeah.
Yeah, you've been.
It's been fun.
Okay, let's see. Let's see. All right, this is Mike the Filican. Sometimes I try to get a triangle, but both my partner's arms get stuck inside my guard, and I end up doing rubber guard automatically, which I don't like on my knees. Any advice? Thanks.
How you get see? Well, it depends. I have to kind of see how he does it, but he gets both arms inside for the triangle.
Yeah, that's what he said.
How do you do that? Then it's not a triangle.
That's a hard. It's a hard question to ask. Is to see what he's doing, but.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult to describe sometimes. Technique over kind of text and things like that.
Right. You kind of, well, obviously he knows the objective is to not have two arms in there, to have one arm in there, but I guess the best answer to do is to get better at trying to set up your triangles a little bit better. I think his setup is, I'm just guessing here because I don't know, but I'm thinking that his setup is a little bit flawed to where the guy can.
He says it's
put
from
back
close
on.
guard.
Oh, from close guard?
Yeah.
You want to do a setup for them real quick?
Yeah, you can, I mean.
Do some magic.
Yeah. So if I'm going for, it depends on your setup. So if I go for a triangle, you go right for here, right? And I gotta go for an arm lock, right? So then I'm a little loose on this, so he feels it, so he pulls his arm out. So now I have triangle, okay? Or I can come up, he's got two arms, so I go for arm lock. So, I mean, if you get two arms, I have possibly arm lock. Definitely don't have triangle, so you can loosen up on the arm lock if you really want the triangle and you don't want the arm. And maybe he takes the bait and pulls his arm out here. And now if you really want the triangle, you can go for triangle. So I guess it's hard to answer that question. It depends on what exactly you're doing, you know.
Mike T said, "Put him to sleep." And if you guys have anything you want to contribute, you don't have to sit in the back corner like the Lonely Hearts Club over there.
I think I could talk to the earlier question about starting jiu-jitsu. at 40. I started at 42. I'm 45 now. And then, so my advice, I think it's similar to what you've already heard. It's the more often you come, the better conditioned you are to the beating, if you will. And I'm not saying there aren't times that I wake up in the morning and I feel like I got beat with a baseball bat. And the other thing is, once you get established at school, recognize that you're older, recognize that there's younger guys that might be stronger, their technique might be better. There's times you need to pick your partners, right? That you know that there's this one young stud who just wants to take people's heads off. You know what? Maybe I'm not going to roll with him today. How you doing? Move to the next guy. Let her roll depending on how I feel. And then there's times, no, I'm going to engage him. I feel pretty good. I'll deal with it. I'll play bottom. And rely on your technique. Don't play a young man's game. Don't play a power game. Don't play a speed game. Those things will fail you. You're 40, right? Even if you're kind of strong and fast right now, that's going to start to fade, but your technique won't. Your technique's going to get better and better. So what's always served me well, what I've always kind of learned from Ryan and Dave is to rely on my technique, and that when I'm using strength or using power or trying to use speed, those are kind of, it's like a false economy. Oh, it worked, but it's going to fail me in the long term. So I think that'd be my best advice, and stick with it, right? You're going to get bumps, you're going to get bruises. I've had injuries, nothing terrible. I've had kind of setbacks, but I always come back to it. And that's why, I'm just now playing with judo, and to me, judo is far more abusive on the body than jiu-jitsu is, just because the degree of the throws and stuff like that once you start progressing. Flip side of that, you learn to get thrown, so maybe you mitigate some of that. But in jiu-jitsu, as long as you're improving your technique, you're learning to protect yourself. And the way that we teach it here, we really teach the defensive side first. So I always feel like I don't care who's on top of me, I can play bottom and be safe, right? I may not be able to get the sweep I want, I may not be able to get the submission I want, but I can be safe on bottom in most cases.
Okay, a couple questions for you specifically.
Let me guess, something about the beard.
You got popular all of a sudden. Let's see, what do the red stripes mean on your belt?
Oh, okay, so the red bar simply means I'm a junior assistant instructor. Ryan allows us, for the people who have entered into the instructors program, to have the red bar, and so that we can work towards being instructors. So that's what the red bar is.
Okay, so also, 10
Right.
out of 10 beard, and David Lee says, Ken is so handsome.
I'll show you a picture of David Lee. He's a kind of a scary looking guy.
Well, are there any, you guys, just remember, if you have any questions, we will answer them, so feel free to kind of shoot some questions down below, but,
If there's no questions, I have one.
yeah, you have one?
Yeah.
He's got his phone out.
So this one came from Mosey69. Do you roll with lower belts? And if so, how do you roll with them? Do you handicap yourself, or do you teach while you roll?
It depends. Like, you teach by your roll, definitely, right, for lower belts. And sometimes you just roll with the white belts because it gives them a real good feeling of how it feels to roll with somebody who knows how to roll. So it's really good for them to do that. And then sometimes, which is in the third case, is sometimes you're rolling with white belts and you just handicap yourself, right? So that the white belt has a chance to exercise his moves, and then you have a chance to improve your techniques. I put one hand in, you put two hands in, you just handicap yourself, let him get to your back, let him get to your side, and then he gets to experience the back position and tries to execute what he's learned, and then you get a chance to try to improve your escape or whatever that. And fighting with one hand definitely can improve anybody's game. So hope that answers your question. This
is a good one for Dave again, because you already answered this question. Actually, we have a video on it, this is from Anthony Wallach, if you forgive me for saying that weird. Some advice for a blue belt that feels like he might be stuck in a rut.
Oh. Well, that's that same question we did, right? Okay,
yeah.
So, just if you feel like you're stuck in a rut, just change it up. I mean, change with different partners, concentrate on your technique, try to improve in your techniques and stuff like that. I'd say switch up, if there's several teachers inside your gym, switch up to another teacher for a second. I found that in some cases, some people take to other teachers better. Usually what happens is that, in my experience, I get stuck in a rut too, but you'll get to a certain point and somebody will show me one move that'll just change all my game. You know, you get to that point. So I recommend just try to see as many moves what are you getting stuck on, you know? Are you getting stuck in cross-side, getting stuck passing guard? Pick a move and try to improve that move, and I think you'll get out of your rut. All right.
Okay. Then we had quite a few questions pop up here. I'll go in order. I've heard that I heard that there are being different philosophies in Judo and Jiu-Jitsu, such as Judo being more aggressive, while Jiu-Jitsu is more gentle. Is that true, or can you speak to the differences?
I don't think that's true. Some people have a very passive style of judo where they let you make the mistake and then throw you. Others, they're actively trying to break your base and then throw you, and you have really no way to balance. Jiu-Jitsu is the same way. Some people are very aggressive in their jiu-jitsu. Other people are very passive. They let you move and then they catch you that way. You know, just people that I've trained with, you know, over the years, I've had people where I train with and they were much better than me at the time, and they kind of let me walk into my own trap. The next thing you know, it's like, how did I get here? Now I'm tapping. The first time I rolled with Professor Dave, he just have weight put in certain strategic spots, and I couldn't move. And
sorry guys, the gimbal that we're using it decided it doesn't like me no more.
Got it.
It's just overheated. I'll hold it for a second while it cools down.
And you know, when I trained with Dave the first time, he was aggressively tapping me. He'd tap me every maybe 30 seconds, and it's just tap, 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 tap. And you know, whereas there are other people that you train with, and if you don't make any mistakes, you'll train with them forever without tapping. So it's not that judo is more aggressive than jiu-jitsu or vice versa. I think it's just the individual practicing.
Yeah,
Hold on,
I think that's correct.
Apparently there's a bad connection. The Wi-Fi is giving us troubles here. Let's see if it will resolve itself. You guys having any connection issues, or is it just my phone being silly? Because we're streaming off of my phone here, just for convenience sake. It may take a little while.
Are you guys all streaming it? Yeah. You guys might be taking up bandwidth too.
Are you streaming it? You're not on Wi-Fi?
I'm not using the Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it's pixelated. It looks like butt, but
As long as the sound is coming through, can you guys hear us just fine?
it's buffering a lot.
Oh, so
Usually if it's buffering a lot, that
we
means...
can't hear it either.
Yeah. Hold on here. It's a solar wind spot. It seems better now. Interesting. Okay, well, I guess we'll just keep on trucking. If it looks like we lose connection.
It looks like it's fine now.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Okay, cool.
All right. Sorry, guys. All right. Sound is fine. I guess sound's kind of the more important part, isn't it? All right.
Next question.
All right. Happy days. This is the first question. First thing from him. Good afternoon, guys. It's great to finally see the legend Dave on the YouTube Live. What is your secret? Oop, oh, hold on. It disappeared. No. Get back here. I need that. All right. Yeah. What is your secret to looking so young? And what is your diet like?
Lots of barbecue.
I think it's genetics. Too much Asian in my blood. No, I just diet is like a normal diet. I like meat. I like vegetables. Every once in a while, I try a vegetarian diet. I try fasting diets and stuff like that. I bounce around a little bit. Whatever makes me feel healthy.
In fact, you've been fasting here recently, haven't you?
Yeah, I just did a 70-hour fast. But the first 48 were just coffee and water. And then from 48 to 70, I just had bone broth. I just make my own out of beef and pork bones. And at 70, I just decided to eat. Partly because Professor's here for our Christmas party, and we're going to have killer food, and I want to make sure that I'm okay to eat. So I had to break the fast earlier than I wanted to.
No. All right. Let's see. We had a couple more.
Good question about that one.
Shoot it.
Do you think this is from
Oh, yeah.
Yahtzee? Do you think while in full guard, do I need to keep posture at all times, or may I use street-oriented method which is blocking the biceps with the head on the stomach. So does he always have to fight for posture, or can he at times cover the biceps and put his head down?
You can put your hands down, but cover the biceps. It depends on what your situation. But yeah, I mean, but if you're postured all the way up, I mean, it's hard for the guy to hit you if you're postured up, right? So if you put him in the guard.
Yeah, he's just saying he's jiu-jitsu, he's rolling, he's not punching.
Oh, he's not punching.
Right, is it okay for him to use a street style and actually put his head down and cover the biceps? Does he always have to fight to constantly be upright at all times?
Well, it's easier to kind of to break the guard and pass the guy's guard if you're postured up. If I'm down like this, I start giving him opportunities, right?
My legs are comfortable.
Yeah, his legs are comfortable. He's comfortable. Why would it make him comfortable? You know. So plus, if he, you know, this definitely is hard for him to kind of fight me when I have on his biceps and stuff like that. But I'm down now, which gives him chokes, which gives him arm locks, gives him triangles, gives him everything like that. So down is not necessarily a good idea, right? But you can play this. You know, work your way back up and up, move hips back and open up the guard. It's better to have postured up, I think. So, hopefully that answers your question a little bit.
Okay. The connection seems like it dances from poor to good, so I guess that we're gonna be good for a little while. All right, let's see.
You go down to Jay, do you practice positional sparring?
Yes.
And do you teach concepts besides the moves? In other words, like teach a sweep, but explain why, the if and when. In other words, you know, exactly what we do, basically teaching the principle rather than simply teaching the move.
Right.
Which is exactly what we do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, we do more positional sparring than we do sparring.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, in fact, just today after class, we were going over clock choke escapes, and you know, we'll do those in class, and we'll spend 3/4 of the class just trying to choke each other out with the clock choke only, and then we'll spar for maybe 3 rounds after that, and then time is up for the day.
Yeah. Both, definitely both are good. I mean, I think positional sparring is, I wouldn't say more important, but it's a really, really useful tool to try to improve those positions and stuff like that. And once you improve the individual positions, then you put it all together, and then you go to open sparring and throw it all together and stuff like that. But both are good.
We had a couple questions on certificates here, so I'm gonna kind of compile them together if I can find it real quick. Let's see, where was it? Dave, can you give us your reasoning on getting some of your black belts, Rickson black belt certificates? Then we just had one, and what compelled you to not get the Rickson certificates at the end? So I think this was in.
There's only one Rickson certificate, and that's Dave's. Everybody else has Kama Jiu-Jitsu certificates.
Yeah.
I think that maybe a combination of questions between you and Dave, because you didn't actually take the Rickson certificate.
Yeah, Dave and I talked about it, and he mentioned getting certificates from Rickson for us, and I said, you know, you can do that for Fernando and Jack, but I just want a Kama Jiu-Jitsu one, because Rickson taught me for a while, but he's not my teacher. I guess he maybe is through Dave, but Dave's my teacher, not Rickson. And my black belt is from Dave. So as far as my certificate goes, I only wanted one from Dave. And it to me, that's only right. You know, whereas other people may feel, well, since Dave is a Rickson black belt, that makes me a Rickson black belt, and I don't see that as true. But people can believe what they want to believe.
And I tend to agree with that a little bit because, you know, Elio taught Hicks and maybe Halls taught Hicks a little bit, you know, so should I get a certificate from Halls and from Elio, or should I just get it from Hicks? I go, well, just get it from Hicks because he's actually the one that taught me, so I kind of agree with that there.
Yeah, at what point does it stop, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if that's the case, then we're also Maeda black belts too.
Yeah.
And we could actually say we should be Kodokan black belts too, for that matter.
Yeah, and I think it has more value. You know, the teacher that taught you, you know, is the one that is the reason why you are the way you are, good or bad.
Yeah, I agree. That's my belief.
Can you talk about your experience rolling with Ricksons, lessons learned, and what you observed?
Lessons learned. Learn to tap.
The long and the short of it.
Yeah, pretty much. I haven't rolled with Rickson in a long time, but whenever I roll with Rickson, I feel like a white belt again. So it's kind of discouraging, and it also gives you like energy and hope that you can get a lot better. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. I mean, if you've never rolled with Rickson, I mean, to roll with Rickson would be the true essence of what Jiu-Jitsu is. It's very, very cool. He's very, very smooth. The best I've ever rolled with, and stuff like that. And I think there's a lot of people who are champions all around the world who roll with him can say the same thing. So I've seen him do it to everybody. So
To answer your question, Happy Days, we have a video on that. Actually, I think it's called. He's asking, how did you meet Rickson, and what was your first impression of him? He needs to check out that video.
When Kama met Rickson or Kama met Gracie? Or?
Yeah, when Kama met Gracie.
Yeah.
And it was, your impression was pretty funny.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I gotta take the short one.
Just check out the. Yeah. That was pretty funny.
So check that video out, man. All right, let's see.
I don't know the answer to. How long did Professor Dave train before he received his black belt?
Oh, yeah.
We don't know.
I don't know how long.
See, and that's funny that
I wasn't really keeping track, so I don't
Yeah.
really know.
which
It
then
took
goes
forever.
back to our thought
Yeah.
about belts are not important, right? So,
Yeah.
but Chris Saunders, who was Rickson's first black belt, says he got it in '97, therefore Dave got it in '98. But Dave's wife Connie said that Dave was a black belt at Rickson's big UCLA tournament, and that was in '96.
So anyway, it's something we got to look into. Sorry, we don't know the answer to that. It seems silly, but I really don't care. I mean, I'm just training to get better at what I'm doing, so I haven't put a whole lot of thought into it. So
It seems like when people talk about the Dirty Dozen, they're really, really like the date, the timeline. The timeline is super important.
I get that. Yeah.
So we've had two people ask, or at least we had two people want to know this question. What are your thoughts on purple and brown belts opening up their own school?
Purple and brown belts opening up their own school.
I'm not a fan of it.
I'm not a fan of it, but in the past, I mean, that was the only option years ago. I mean, some people were out in Timbuktu, and there's nobody else out there, so it happens. And I would say that you should have a black belt teaching, but sometimes you have no choice. So I guess my preference would be black belt teaching. It's not a good idea to have a blue or purple belt teaching because you can lose a little bit. But anyway.
we do have blue belts that teach better than several black belts I've seen teach.
Yeah, but yeah, so it depends on what you're talking about. But for us, I mean, we have the blues and purples teaching, and we actually the black belts evaluate them as to how good a teacher they are, and then they teach a class. They don't teach a whole.
I mean, we're training
gym
them to teach.
We're training them to teach, right? So it'd be different than somebody like a blue or purple opening up their own gym, and they run it themselves, and so that would be a little bit different. So I guess it depends.
Well, heads up, connection's getting faulty again, so it looks like we're having any issues. I'm sorry, guys. All right. Happy Days says that here in Korea we have blue belts as instructors, so kind of.
It depends. Now, if it's a blue belt that has not only attained his blue belt level, but has also been trained to teach, because doing is one thing, teaching is something else. If this blue belt just happens to train and have been awarded his blue belt and now decides he wants to teach, I'm not too bullish on that. But if that's all there is, then better a blue belt showing you stuff than.
Well, I mean, I guess you can think about it this way. Okay, so you got a blue belt, right? Why is it a blue belt? Because you only know so much. So if the blue belt's going to teach Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, you want to learn all of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and you get taught by a blue belt. The blue belt can only teach you so much. That's the reason why he's a blue belt.
Yeah.
So he could be, just hypothetically, he could be the best blue belt in the world, but he's just a blue belt. So he can teach you what he knows really good if he's a good teacher, and then you get variations, of course. And even with black belts, you get variations. But he's just a blue belt. So if you get a purple belt, he can teach you more than the blue belt because he's a purple belt, because he knows more. But he's not a brown, he's not a black. So if you want to know the whole art, then you won't get that. So that's why I said it depends. I mean, if you want to learn up to blue belt level, a blue belt probably can teach you if it's a good teacher. If you want to learn up to black belt level, then the blue belt's not going to get you there. So.
Okay. This is an idea that I kind of agree with, but it's up to you guys. Could we see Professor Ryan and Professor Dave roll for 3 minutes on the stream? Maybe we could do it after the questions. You guys want to see if you can do a little match real quick?
Maybe later.
You guys, you were just teaching, so Ryan actually is still a little bit more fresh.
It doesn't matter how fresh I am with it.
Dave's like, I'm trying not to embarrass him. I'm trying not to embarrass him.
Maybe next time.
Or why don't you guys come here, then you can see it live.
Yeah.
There's another good one, you know, as a blue belt, as an older guy, how do you catch your breath when rolling, exhausted to roll longer?
Oh, that's an easy one. So when you breathe.
Are you able to hear the questions when Ken reads it from behind?
Probably not. You want to sit up here?
No, just ask
Good
them if they
question.
can hear it.
Oh, can you guys hear Ken's questions in the background?
Probably not, yeah, because the microphone
Shot
says.
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
They probably
So-
can hear it just a little bit. But
Come here, just repeat the
All right, so
question
I'm just going to
again.
repeat the question. So this is a good one. How do you catch your breath when rolling exhausted to roll longer?
Okay, so it's kind of an easy answer. So when you get exhausted, a lot of people they suck in air. They're trying to get more air because they're exhausted and they're trying to get more oxygen, right? So the best way for you to do that is to blow all your air out. Just blow all your air out. Just blow all your air out, and then all the good air comes in, so you get more oxygen that way. So if you get really exhausted, start blowing your air out. Don't suck in air. So try
Your
that.
body naturally wants to breathe in, so if you force it to breathe out, it'll automatically breathe in.
Yeah.
And it'll breathe in deeply because you pushed all your air out.
You'll get more oxygen. You can think more clearly. You'll still be tired, but you'll
Yeah.
think more clearly. You get more oxygen to your brain.
Hey guys, if you saw that Gracie Challenge 5 match on YouTube, Gracie Academy put it out, that's Dave's fight. One of Dave's fights that they actually put out on video. And in the very beginning, after he takes the guy down, you hear Dave breathing exactly like the way he's saying.
Well, I don't even remember that.
Yeah, when you were cross-eyed and trying to set up the mount on the guy, you were breathing. He's physically, consciously breathing. And the more oxygen you get in your body, the longer you can continue on. And when you are exhausted, you need to especially think about that.
Yeah, well, I think I feel like when I do that, it feels like I have more oxygen. I can think more clearly. I'm not so foggy because I have more oxygen flowing in my body. So.
Yeah,
Let's see.
Cool.
you forgot about that one.
Yeah, I don't even remember.
All right. Well, this is from Ulish 1989. It's probably back to the blue belt, purple belt question, but where he is in Australia, there's a lot of Gracie affiliate connections, connection schools, but most seem to be run by brown and purple. So it may just seem like it's a matter of need. That's the reason why they're being taught.
Yeah, that's what I said. I mean, that happened in the United States too. I mean, all through the East. Most of the jiu-jitsu was out west in California, and then it slowly started moving east, and it's just sporadic. You know, a blue guy would get his blue belt and then go back to his hometown, and there wasn't anything for 100 miles around, so he just taught. So it's, like you said, it's more of a need than it is anything else.
Okay. Hold on. Apparently the stream's having difficulties. It's back on? Cool. All right. Yeah, because it looks like it.
You know, when I was a purple belt, I had a couple of opportunities to run a school, and all those times I just refused. And the reason is because I wouldn't mind teaching somebody in my garage, you know, hey buddy comes over, hey let's train, let me show you what I know. But as far as me running a business or running a school, trying to get paid to teach when I'm not even, in my view, I didn't feel I was qualified. And you know, I got my blue belt from Howson, I got my purple belt from Rickson, and you know, here you have guys that are blue belts and purple belts and not you know, and who are they getting their belts from? Okay, but yeah, all of a sudden they decide they want to open a business and run a school. I don't know. You know, if it's a matter of, you know, there's nobody around that I can go to, you know, that I can train with every day, but I've got some friends who want to do it. Hey, you know, let me show you what's going on. You know, that's why I'm all for these Gracie garages, because it's a way to share the knowledge. But now all of a sudden I'm putting myself out as somebody who's a teacher. I never went that route, and in fact, you know, even out here, I remember when I was about to move, professor asked me, he was, are you going to open a school out in Texas? And that was not my intention. We just opened it here because I couldn't find a suitable place to train that did our style of jiu-jitsu. But I was kind of reluctant opening our Dallas campus.
Yeah. You have to be really careful, like if you train with blues or purples as they're the teacher, you just have to be. I wouldn't want to say that it's not a good idea, because we have good blue belt and good purple belt teachers here. You just have to. There's a lot of variation out there, and I think that would go with any gym. You know, whatever gym you go to, you kind of have to look at the quality of the jiu-jitsu that they're giving you, and that varies all over around the world. So.
And the depth of knowledge is not there.
Right.
You know, they don't. There's certain situations that for a white belt or blue belt that's happening, a black belt might have seen that and can say, yes, you know, you need to do this. Whereas a blue or purple belt, they didn't have the experience to have seen that or know what's going on.
Yeah. There's more variability in the blue and purples than there's blacks, because in black belts there's a wide variety of like the quality level, right? But you go down to blue belt level, now you just took that variability down to a whole nother level, right? So not only does he's not a black belt, but he's a blue belt, so he's limited. So now the variability comes even more. So not that they won't teach really well, but you got to look at what you're getting. So.
Okay. Let's see. Do you have a question, or you done? Okay. Can you show a BJJ introduction, kind of like a small seminar, to another martial arts, let's say a Taekwondo school at blue belt?
Can you?
Well, at blue belt, you weren't doing that kind of stuff, but you were one of the dojo stormers.
That wasn't showing people our heart. That was just. Yeah. That was
just being an asshole.
That was kind of not being nice, I think.
Yeah, but that wasn't your call.
But
that was Hoist.
Yeah, we were being like respectful.
Yeah.
But we're kind of showing them, but we went there in an intent to show the art and respectfully tap them all out. So I mean.
But you, as a blue belt, were doing the challenges, but you weren't there to teach anybody anything. You know?
Oh no. Hoist
That's what the black belts were.
Hoist was there. Yeah.
Last comment.
What?
Say it.
This is epic. From Mikey T, I've heard Rickson's jiu-jitsu described as a 400-pound mind-reading boa constrictor. Do you think that's an accurate statement?
Yeah. Yeah, it's second to none that I've ever seen. I've been around for a long time, so.
Okay. All right. What are your thoughts on the modern leg lock game and these new school no-gi BJJ black belts like Gordon Ryan?
What do you think about him?
I mean, you've done leg locks for years. I mean, it's not new to you.
No, it's just it's kind of a fad going on right now. Everybody's kind of focusing on feet and heel hooks and knee locks, stuff like that. We've done that in the past of that, but I think it's catching on more now. Because in the past it was kind of like there's a lot of jiu-jitsu gyms that really frown on knee locks and foot locks. They really don't like it. Judo gyms really don't like it. The ones I've been to anyway. And jiu-jitsu gyms really frown on it because I used to do knee locks and foot locks, and people used to get pissed off at me, so I just quit doing them in other jiu-jitsu gyms. But now it's becoming more popular. You know, they're starting to find out what I found out. If you start fighting somebody, they always give you the feet. They give you their feet, they give you your legs. It's always there. It's like a gift, you know. So you know, I think it's great. You know, we're improving our art and stuff like that. As long as you're not tearing people's knees out and feet, you know, and you're being real careful. And those guys, from what I can see, they are doing that. They're being, you know, very careful about their training partners, as you all should always be. So, but it's all good, as far as I'm concerned.
I want to highlight what the backup team are doing right now. They're kind of rolling in the background. Oh, candid camera now.
You just talked about this. What are your thoughts on washing your belt? I think you just spoke about this last week.
He likes washing his belt. I don't.
Oh, and Ryan's like, oh, that clean for you.
Well, if he doesn't, then I guess I won't anymore.
All right, let's see. I'm on an island in Canada, and we have 2 gyms teach BJJ in my town. One is run by a black belt, but he swears a lot and is hard on his students. Second gym is a 4-stripe purple, but a good, kind teacher. I'm guessing, which one would you go for?
That's a good question.
Expertise versus good teacher.
Well, I mean, if you know, quote unquote, just taking you for your word, is a bad teacher, good teacher, go to the good teacher. I mean, there's a lot of variation there. It's just, you know, you could say he's a bad teacher, but I've seen like some coaches that are just horrible and hard on the guys, but the guys love them because the guy is just improving their technique like nobody's business. So I'm just using your words. You say good teacher, bad teacher, go to the good teacher.
And that good teacher could be the hard black belt.
Yeah.
Do you believe if you're wanting to fight MMA these days, you should train much more no-gi BJJ or wrestle with gi? What are your thoughts?
You training with us? What are you
They're wanting to do MMA, or they're considering to do MMA. If you're wanting to go into MMA, should you do gi or no gi more?
Oh, well,
I guess it depends how you train with the gi.
depends, yeah. Because you can train with the gi and still not use the gi, you know. And I always like doing both. So I think most of the people I've seen is we train gi, we train no gi, and some guys just train gi all the time, and then they're gonna go train MMA, and then they switch to no gi for a short period of time just to kind of get familiar, and then they go fight. What I've seen is like some people would stay all no gi, and it takes them a lot longer to learn gi if they want to switch than if somebody trains gi all the time and never trained no gi and then tries to switch to no gi. There is a transition for both ways, but there's less transition from going gi to no gi than there is from going from no gi to gi. So I'm just trying to focus on his question to go to MMA. MMA is mostly no gi. So
What would Rickson do when in the 90s when he was fighting?
they fight. He fights. You know, when he gets prepared for the fight, when he starts going into it, he fights no gi. But you know, you train. It doesn't mean that you totally stay away from gi. I think that's a bad idea to stay totally away from gi. But yeah, you definitely have to train no gi if you're going to train MMA. You have to train in an environment that you're going to be fighting. So you do have to do that.
Okay, Mike T asks, why are you guys wearing shirts? I usually go shirtless whenever he rolls.
Too much hair. No, I'm just kidding. I just like shirts. So
I just recently started wearing shirts again, but for probably about a good 10, 15 years, I didn't wear a shirt.
Oh, there's some secret videos on YouTube of you without your shirt on, and you're like,
Who?
you see, you.
Me? Yeah, that's what I said. So about 10 or 15 years, I wasn't wearing a shirt, and I just recently in the last year started wearing shirts again. And I started wearing my rash guards only because I would have these cotton gis that David over there would get me, because he's all into these shoya rolls, and shoya roll doesn't make bamboo, so I'd wear cotton. So if I'm wearing cotton, I'd wear a rash guard, and I just got used to wearing rash guards. But then again, you know, it's kind of, to me, it's cleaner. I don't want to have somebody's bare chest on my face when they're smashing me from mount. and if I don't like it, I'm sure that the woman in our class doesn't like it either. So I'd rather just guys wear shirts under now.
Especially since most ladies are going to be wearing a shirt anyway.
Yeah.
At least
it's
the-
just, it's more of a polite thing, you know, against your training partner. But for me, it was just, I didn't like the feel of cotton on my skin, so I would just wear the long sleeve rash guards.
Could you show us a good way to break someone's posture in order to get a darce?
A darce.
I don't know what a darce is. Maybe
Oh,
it's a
okay,
type
that's
of-
like an overhook. How to break a posture to get a darce.
Depends on what you're talking about. Maybe we'll go over that later.
situational kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, there are videos on YouTube of fake black belts being called out. They even went far as opening their own schools. Have you ever run into people like this? If so, how did you handle it?
What's a fake black belt? I mean, is a fake black belt somebody who just decides to put a black belt on, or is a fake black belt somebody who got a black belt legitimately but is
Terrible.
Yeah.
I haven't.
The videos they're talking about.
I think what they're talking about is the guy's like, he's like worse than I don't know, just for these questions, like worse than a white belt, and he threw a black belt on him, but he's not really a black belt, right? And he's starting school. Have I ever ran into one of those? No, I have not personally. I've seen them on YouTube all the time, but I've never personally ran into one of those.
We had one here in Flower Mound, the UFC gym,
Oh yeah.
right? The UFC gym had a guy
Don't mention names.
put a black belt on himself, claimed to be a black belt. Somebody else came in and kind of exposed him.
Yeah.
So I think those are the ones you're talking about. And there's another one that kind of came up relatively recently. I don't know where it was, but the guys are just legit, like they have no game whatsoever. They're clearly not black belts.
Yeah.
They don't know what the hell they're doing. They're teaching things incorrectly. But everyone in their class just assumes they're black belts. And because they don't know any better, they don't know what they're being taught is garbage.
Yeah, I think it's I don't know. I have a weird sense of humor. I think it's funny. Why would you ever do that? Put yourself in a position, right? Because if you think about it, I get my belts, right? I don't want the purple belt. When I was a blue belt, I didn't want the purple belt until I could defend the purple belt. I don't want the brown belt until I can defend it, right? Actually roll on the mat and defend it. Why would you want to put a black belt on and have everybody hunt your head when you have no skills? I mean, it's kind of funny to me. You're kind of an idiot. And then you can kind of see the YouTubes of what happens, right? So he's an idiot for trying it, and then when somebody exposes him, they actually make him feel like an idiot, you know? So I don't know.
Okay, advice on rolling with big guys?
The fake black belt?
No, big guys. Just any advice for, let's say you're rolling with a larger gentleman, or especially in Ryan's case, because almost everybody's larger than you. So.
Yeah. That'd be a good question for you, but I would say
so the
technique.
Yeah.
How would you roll with big guys? Or?
Yeah.
Oh.
Any advice on rolling with larger people?
You know, when I was younger, I would basically call out the big guys, and I'd just go after them. Now that I'm older, I'm going to be 50 soon. I don't do that as much, especially with our guys, because, you know, we try to play a very heavy game, and, you know, when you have a guy who's 230 and he feels like he's 280, you know, that's no fun. But I will train with them. But the thing is, you have to really rely on the technique. You cannot think to yourself you can power your way out of anything, because you really can't. So that's why, in my experience, the smaller guys have been the ones who have, you know, people would say he's more technical versus a big guy. And a lot of it is by the reason is necessity. They have to learn.
Survival.
Yeah, in order to survive and to hang, they have to increase their T to deal with the P. So
We might. You've mentioned a lot of your secret formula. We've got a video on it, but maybe we should kind of retouch upon it here.
yeah, so the secret formula is G is your game is equal to the sum of your physicality plus your technique. That's the way I interpret it. Professor kind of mentioned it to me as like a bank account, spending your currency. You know, but it's really the same thing, and it just comes down to you need to work on your technique, and there's no excuse to not work on your technique. So if you're a small guy and you're training with big guys, you need to work on your technique so you can survive.
Right. If you can't get the physicality, then you kind of, you know, T plus P, no,
Yeah,
T
that's
plus
right. P
equals your
G,
game,
your
right?
game.
G, your game, right? So if you have more technique, then you have more game, right? So you have more physicality, you have more game. If you have more of both, then you have even more game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it just depends. I mean, if you don't have the physicality to do it, I mean, it's you know, you can only get so much stronger, so much bigger, so much heavier. There's only so much you can do with what God gave you, right? So, So you have to work on your technique. So, and that's true for anybody, really, pretty much. And then if you get your physicality up better, I mean, definitely it's going to improve your game, stuff like that. But your technique is the #1 deal. I mean, that's what we teach inside the gym, is to improve your technique, right? More leverage to deal with the people who are bigger, stronger, and more powerful. Because if you get in a fight, that's who you're going to be fighting. Do you ever find like a small, skinny, nerdy guy coming up to you and pushing you around and want to fight you? Okay, that rarely happens. It's always the bigger, stronger guy who's coming up to you, who feels he can beat you up because he is bigger and stronger than you, or he looks bigger and stronger than you. So always work on technique, you know. It's the way to go.
Okay. Well, guys, we're probably going to have to cut it here, but there's one thing that I did think was a little bit funny. How about have you guys stand next to each other, because they want to know how tall you are compared to Ryan.
Oh,
A lot.
Yeah. So Dave is
a little bit taller.
he's a little bit taller. You're kind of slouching a little bit. Get a little bit, but yeah. So, all right, guys. Well,
Gentlemen.
Thanks a lot for
Thanks for
everything,
joining us.
guys.
Happy training.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
All right. Bye bye.